Hello, we're First for EPA, an endpoint assessment organisation that helps apprentices prepare for EPA. In this video, we'll show you what to include in your portfolio to get it ready for endpoint assessment. We'll share some tips on how to build an effective portfolio and how to show an assessor that you've met the criteria you're being assessed against. We've split the video into 4 areas. How to structure your evidence, how to meet the assessment criteria, the types of evidence you could include, and clear mapping. Let's start with how to structure your evidence. In your endpoint assessment, you're being assessed against the assessment criteria shown in your standards assessment plan. These are usually called knowledge, skills, and behaviours, or the what, the how, and the with whom. Apprentices from First for EPA can see these criteria in their toolkit. To give yourself the best chance of success, start with these criteria and choose evidence that shows you're capable of demonstrating each one. Structure your portfolio to have specific work projects grouped together with a written description that tells a story from start to end. Throughout this description, show what, how, why, and who. What you did, how you did it, why you did it that way, your reasoning, and who you worked with. This might include people internal and external to the business, and it shows that you can collaborate with others. To do this, think about structuring your portfolio to include key areas: an introduction, the planning, the execution, the result, and an evaluation of your performance. Let's look at these in a little more detail. An introduction. In the introduction, you should give a short overview of the activity that you were working on and your role within the activity. The planning. This might include how you broke down the brief or instructions you were given, any research you carried out, and the decisions you made. Show the assessor what led you to make these decisions, such as why you chose any tools and software you used. The execution. This is where you explain what you did to implement the change or complete the activity or brief. Make sure to show how you used different tools, technologies and methods, and how you worked with others both internally and externally. For example, if your project was a marketing campaign, you could show how you made that campaign live and which platforms you used. If your project was implementing a new business process, you could show how you rolled it out and made others aware of it. Think about how you collaborated with colleagues in your organisation, as well as external stakeholders like customers or suppliers. The result. This is where you show how successful the activity was. For business administrator apprentices, this could be the success of a project, the effectiveness of communications, or looking at the outcome of your own decisions. For digital marketer apprentices, it might be measuring the success of a campaign. For junior content producer apprentices, it could be reactions to your pitches or published content. It's best to include any relevant data or feedback that highlights how successful or unsuccessful the activity was. You can also give a brief overview of why you felt the result was or wasn't successful. As with the previous sections, make sure you show any tools, technologies and methods you use to measure results. It's not always a negative to have poor results. The assessor understands some activity will be from months ago, and they'll look for evidence that shows you've reflected on what could be done differently and given suggestions for improvements. Which brings us to an evaluation of your performance. This is an opportunity for you to review yourself, what you did well and what you'd like to improve on if you were to do it again. Pay particular attention to the behaviours in the assessment criteria, especially those related to personal development and professionalism. Throughout your portfolio, make sure you've included evidence to back up everything you've said. Be aware of data protection and confidentiality. If there's information you can't share, please make sure you censor it. The assessor isn't looking to focus on the actual data. They want to see your abilities and the process that you go through. How to meet the assessment criteria. You'll need to choose your evidence carefully to make sure it shows what the assessment criteria asks for. When you're writing your description, make sure you keep referring back to the assessment criteria. Show the assessor you not only understand the criteria, but have been applying them to your role. You can make your knowledge clear by showing how you carried out your work based on the knowledge and theory you've learned. Try to show the decisions you made along the way, including your reasoning for these decisions. For example, you might tell the assessor you chose certain methods based on the theory you've learned, research you've carried out, or your knowledge of your organisation and customers. If you find that the knowledge elements can't be covered fully with examples of your work, you might choose to include qualifications, evidence of courses and events you've attended, or further professional development that you've undertaken. To demonstrate your skills and behaviours, show what you've done and how you've done it. For example, if the assessment criteria asks you to show communication skills, you might include examples of different types of communication you've used, how you've communicated both internally and externally, and different communication tools you've used, such as email, telephone and social media. When describing your skills and behaviours, or the with whom criteria, it's important to include who you worked with and show how you worked together. Consider where you took the lead and offered advice, and how you supported others to achieve goals. The types of evidence you could include. Let's take a look at the types of evidence you could include in your portfolio. The evidence should back up everything you say in your description. There's no limit to the type of evidence you include. This could be materials you created, content you produced, emails you sent, feedback you received, screenshots of tools and software used, a log of your key achievements, reflective accounts, witness testimonies, audio recordings of progress discussions. Any type of evidence that shows you demonstrating the assessment criteria is perfect for your portfolio. For creative standards, like junior content producer, you may choose to include storyboards and pitches you created during your time on programme. Don't think that evidence has to be limited to screenshots. You can include videos, audio recordings and written statements. As long as your evidence is in an accessible file format, it can be included in your portfolio. Employer feedback and witness testimonies are great for giving the assessor a broader view of your performance, showing how you applied your learning in your work. Clear mapping. In your portfolio, you should make sure the knowledge, skills and behaviours, or the what, how and with whom, are clearly mapped. First, for EPA provides a mapping document that sets out all the criteria your portfolio should cover. Use this to self-check if you have enough evidence. If you find you have gaps on the mapping document, you should revisit your portfolio and add more examples of your work. To go the extra mile, map the relevant criteria directly in your portfolio by writing the criteria reference directly into your portfolio document. Let's look at an example. In this example, you can see there's dummy text where the description would be. Within each paragraph, the criteria reference has been added in blue so the assessor can clearly see where the apprentice has met each one. The main point here is you want to make sure it is as easy as possible for your assessor to see you've demonstrated all the relevant competencies. Clearly labelling these within your portfolio helps with this. We hope this video has given you some helpful tips to get your portfolio EPA ready. If you found this video useful, you may want to subscribe for further advice and of course give it a like. Feel free to leave a comment or question you'd like us to answer. For more advice on endpoint assessment, visit our blog at firstforepa.co.uk.